Greetings and welcome back to Conversations with Ed. Here we are once again. Got 2 more weeks to go after this. Hope you have as much fun tonight as I think I'm going to have, because I have another very special guest on. Actually, this is probably my most special guest. You haven't seen her in a while, so I thought I might want to bring her out and let her tell you what she's got going on. And when you see her, you know what I'm talking about. But first, I have to give my big ups, okay? Always to Peggy, always to Dorothy and Sarah, always to Nurse Diane and Nurse Linda. You might wonder why I always say that. When you see the special that I'm doing or in the process of getting edited, I've already shot it, on McGuire's VA Hospital, you understand what I mean. You saw the opening up there with the poster up for Welcome Home Veteran. It's another book that my lovely wife, Charlene, has written. This is the 3rd one, and this one seems to be the one. The veterans love it, the institutions love it, and any of you out there watching, we'll talk about this during the show. We need some organizations, we need some companies, we need some businesses to buy some books so that we can give them to the veterans at McGuire VA Hospital. And as the show goes on, we'll talk a little bit more about that. They have some really good things getting ready to happen out there for this November, which is the military month, you know, Veterans Day and all of that. In fact, they're gonna have what they call a stand down on the 15th of November. You heard me talk about it for the last 3 or 4 weeks. The stand down means that all the military stops what they're doing and focuses on one thing. And for McGuire VA Hospital, that one thing is getting all of the homeless vets that they can find and bringing them into the hospital and giving them a day of medical care, cleanliness, showers, haircuts, flu shots, pneumonia shots, just a general check over something that they wouldn't normally be able to get. And we try to encourage them on that day to come in and sign into the system so they can start getting taken care of. That goes for you guys out there that are listening who haven't been to the VA yet. I just found out that my producer out here, who listens to me and has heard me talk about this for a couple of years now, hasn't gone, so we're gonna fuss with him after the show. But the rest of you guys and ladies out there, go get your help, okay? It's right there, especially with this new insurance plan that's coming out. The insurance rates for some people are gonna go as high as $700 a month. If you're a veteran, guess what? You don't have to pay that. You don't have to pay that. So anyhow, we're gonna talk about a couple of good things, and I'm gonna introduce you to my lovely guest now, who most of you are familiar with because we are a team, and you do see us together doing some wonderful things. Here she is, Miss Charlene. Hi, Miss Charlene. In case you don't know, this is my wife, all right? Very talented lady.
Thank you for having me on your show today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
All right. I don't have to call in tonight.
No, you don't have to call tonight. You're here. You're here. But what we want to talk about, I think, first and foremost, I know we talk about it all the time. I don't know if the folks out there are talking about it in their house because it's an off year, meaning it's not a presidential election. Mm-hmm. But we have a big election coming up on November the 5th. And it's really a big election. If you've been paying attention at all, you see that Mr. Cuccinelli is way behind, and we want to keep it that way. I don't want to make it sound like I'm pro-democratic, but guess what? I'm pro-democratic. I don't know, I think my wife might be pro-democratic too, since she was a really outstanding member of Black Women for Obama. What you doing, baby?
Well, I'm being a nice guest. I'm not out talking you.
You can talk.
But since I was a kid, I've always been involved from my parents. In fact, when I was in school and the schools were segregated, our principals and teachers took us as little kids to vote, to mock vote. And I think we need to do that, bring that back into the school system and let these kids know that it's important. That's that right. People died for them to be able to vote. And now we have so many. I think I heard that there might be 5% of us voting in this upcoming election.
Because again, it's not the pizzazz, it's not the presidential election.
And not only that, people aren't so sure about the candidates.
Here in Virginia.
Yeah.
Well, that's an issue, but the reality is we can't be sure about any of our candidates until they get in office.
Right.
This one happens to have a whole lot of drama going with it because they're pulling out dirt from both sides. I still think I'd rather have the Democratic dirt.
Oh, me too. Because Cuccinelli, he's all in the bedroom now, telling you what you can do and what you can't do, and making you go to the doctors and all. I mean, for some party who says that the government should not infringe on your private life, the Republicans in Virginia are all in it.
Yeah, I know they're not doing.
As far as women are concerned,
they're not doing the right thing, especially with this anti-abortion thing. And again, Mr. Cuccinelli is the head of that. He is pushing this no abortion, no, regardless of what the case might be, mandating women take certain medical tests, as you just said. And who needs that aggravation? Plus, we've just had a real good example of how these folks are thinking. And I think most of you, and I hope most of you who are looking at us would agree that there's some really bad stuff going on. We need to straighten it out, and you straighten it out through election. And local election, don't forget, my buddy Joe Morrissey is running here again. Joe, if you're watching, you know you get my vote. I don't know how you guys are out there thinking about Mr. Morrissey, but I know Fighting Joe has done a great job for us, even though he doesn't announce it that much, but I'm going to vote for him too.
Okay.
And you know, you don't usually sit around and tell people who you're going to vote for because it usually starts some kind of argument, but me and her don't argue, so it's okay.
He refuses to argue. So when I'm fussing, I have to fuss by myself.
There you go. It works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It does work. Now
Attention.
tell us about what you have here. I've been talking about it myself for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Why don't you brag a little bit about what you've done?
Well, this is a book I wrote, Welcome Home Veteran. Having been married to a veteran and been around a veteran for about 16 years now, I was one of those that participated in the war against Vietnam when I was in college. And having been married to a veteran now, and my cousins went into the service, and many of them went into the service. You either go to jail or you go in the Army, you know, kids getting in trouble. So it was something that they were forced to do, more or less. This man volunteered. He volunteered at the age of about 16 or 17. 17 with his mother signing. And the stories I hear from he and his cousins and his family are told with a lot of pride. And having been married to Ed and been around a lot of proud veterans, I started, and my background's market research, so I started researching, let me see if what other stories other veterans have. And I was told just so many touching stories that I said, in fact, my son, Dia, said, Ma, you just need to write a book, especially for the veterans. So that's how I did it.
Well, I'm going to cut you 1 minute. Dia's statement was, Charlene said a lot of them came back wounded. And he said all of them came back wounded. And I thought that was a pretty traumatic statement that Dia made.
It is, because every veteran comes back wounded.
In some kind of way.
Some you see and some you can't, mentally, physically. But my feeling is, you put yourself out on the line for us. Let us welcome you back. Let us make a ceremony. Let us treat you, and let us make sure that your welcoming home process is positive.
Well, it's changed, and you can see it. You know, you guys that watch me for the last 5 years, I always talk about welcoming home the veterans, okay? Because as Charlene just said, it wasn't that nice when we came home.
They called you guys baby killers.
They called some people baby killers.
They didn't call you that, huh?
Well, I had one experience where a loudmouth got in my face and said, "Did you ever kill anybody?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, why'd you kill him?" I said, "Because he asked me if I killed anybody."
Oh, no, you didn't.
And so I didn't get bothered with that type of thing anymore in that circle. But what's happening now, and again, Charlene, you've seen us promote the book, you've seen me promote the book on here. She actually got down to the nuts and bolts and wrote a how-to. And it's not just a how-to for the veteran, it's a how-to for the whole family, for the spouse, male or female, for the children, things that they need to know that she's observed, and through the interviews that she's done, she's put together a package. I had my cousin, who's a diehard. He's really into the veteran life, and he looked at the book, and he read a few pages, and he got a real serious look on his face, and he said, "Ed, she's got it." Made you feel good, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Morocco was saying, well, it was a good attempt, but you missed out. But you know what? Somebody told me the day it opened, I was at the Veteran Hospital, or maybe it was this weekend down at the Navy base. This is also a good book for someone who has had a traumatic event, maybe for a woman who was raped or a man who was beat up or somebody who was bullied. And as an adult, one of the chapters I have says, remember, let's play dodgeball. And in that chapter, I say, everything that's being thrown at you doesn't have to hit you.
Absolutely.
So when we were kids, they throw the ball and you dodge it one way or another. But I'm just, and this is a good lesson for all of us, because every day something's coming your way.
So what we're trying to do, just so you know, in case you know somebody out there, what we're trying to do is get companies, organizations, Comcast, we're here talking to you too, to purchase a group of these books, and let's give them out to the vets when they come in for the stand down. We expect about 500 homeless, unsituated veterans to come into McGuire Hospital on November the 15th, and it'd be real good to be able to say, here, welcome home. Let them read it.
And we're giving it to them at a reduced cost.
Very much
we don't
so.
expect them just to support my
No.
writing the book.
And if you do purchase any of the books, again, it's
deductible.
tax deductible, and we're not supposed to talk about this on this station, so please forgive me for promoting our veterans and our brothers and sisters, but there it is. Now, what do you want to talk about?
Well, it's funny because I'm there. Where were we? We were in Norfolk, and I'm signing books and talking about it and interviewing veterans and hearing their experiences. And somebody looks at me. He said, "Mona." I said, "Oh no, Tropical Beat. I knew I saw you somewhere." So I hear that so much, and they were from Philadelphia. That I have to remind people that Tropical Beat is still on the internet at www.tropicalbeat.tv. So we're going to, by popular demand, we're going to produce a lot of DVDs. And I don't have the terminology right, but you can download the MP3 version, and then you can order the DVD if you want it in your house. So we'll be doing that.
www.tropicalbeat.tv. Got it? There you go.
Now, I've been on this man to write a book. Tell us, I had to wait till my mother and dad, or especially my mother died, because then you can tell things that your mother won't be embarrassed to hear in your books. This guy doesn't care what he says, but he's not. He has so many good stories, but you're not telling them.
My secret. It'll come when it's time. I'm not finished yet.
Well, I'm not finished yet.
I know you're going to write another book, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel like when I do get ready to write, it's going to be a real like this, and we're going to have to sit on the beach, with our mojitos.
Well, that's when with the Tropical Beat book's not finished, and the Tropical Beat is a big book. But most of these books I write are small because people don't have time to read a large book.
Oh, they'll have time to read a big Tropical Beat book because, again, all the adventures we're going to talk about, and listen to me, we're going to talk about in her book. We're going to talk about some of the great adventures that we've had traveling in the Caribbean, traveling in Africa, which we could really do a whole book on that.
We could do a book on how we met at the airport.
But
going
to voodoo ceremonies and being allowed to take a camera into a sacred place because of the fact that they recognized me as a drummer. They said, "You are a brother who went away and did not forget." I took that as the highest compliment. And it gave us the right to do some things that I know a lot of production companies that have gone over there weren't able to do. So we'll do a book about that.
That'll be good.
That'll be good.
And Tanya's writing a book. Her daughter's writing.
Anybody, all of you people out there that have a story need to take that Dragon Speaks if you don't want to write it.
We didn't do ours that way.
No, you did yours the right way. You wrote the book, okay? But a lot of people don't want to sit down and write. So you do the Dragon Speaks and let it transcribe on your computer, and then you correct it. You corrected as you said. Listen, I'm talking myself.
I don't know how to
I'm
do
talking myself into doing my own book. But everybody has a story. So we want to put the phone numbers up. Akil, if you could do that. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but being that this is basically a free hour, we can have a free for all. We can talk about just about anything.
Put the phone numbers up, and they can tell us what they want to see on Tropical Beat and on Conversations with Ed. And Popcorn Magazine for Children.
Popcornmagazine.net, 5 to 15 years old, and it's interactive. So stick that phone number up, that 591-5202, I believe is what it is.
They're not putting it up.
And they'll do it. And let's let's get some conversation going here, okay? Thank you. See, 51915-5202. Any subject is okay for the day. All right. I had a guest scheduled for the day, and they had to reschedule for next week. You're gonna love listening to what these gentlemen have to say.
So that's the reason I'm on.
You're on because you're my baby.
Oh, listen to that.
Yeah, well, you call up every week. I mean, you're one of my loyal viewers, right? So the phone number's up. You guys got any questions? It can be a question on where to go on a vacation, since we have been all over the world.
But you know, one of my key interests, and I know it's yours too, is mentoring.
Yes.
Because our kids need us, our children need us. And that's just so important, because even today, a 12-year-old shot somebody. I don't know. Killed his teacher in, where was it, in Vegas or somewhere like that.
Doesn't matter.
No, it was in Massachusetts.
It was
and
not,
then yesterday another. There are too many things going on, and that means somebody's not listening, because that was a cry for help, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's a big cry for help. Give me a chance to mention. You said mentoring. We do have our organization, Transforming Today's Youth, that's working now. Last year we had 50 students. We have to gather up the students now. We're giving them the first semester to kind of get themselves comfortable into their roles and whatnot, and kind of figure out what they want to do. Then what we do is we go into the schools themselves pick out a group of youngsters that they think need the services, and we provide it. Last year we had 50 children, and we had 20 mentors. Out of that group, all 50 of the students did get promoted to their next grades. I think 3 of them went to college, I know for a fact. One is right now in Virginia State, and one is in Virginia Union. And that's what we're going to continue to do, okay? Got a call. Hello, caller.
Hi, how y'all doing tonight?
We're doing fine, and I appreciate you calling. What's your subject? What would you like to talk about?
Well, first I want to ask about, y'all were talking about your baby's book, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned something, and maybe I didn't hear it right, that they were going to let the soldiers go, about 200 of them from McGuire. Is that what you said? Something like that?
No. What I said, I'm saying that on the 15th of November, McGuire Hospital is having what they call a stand down. And the stand down means that they stop everything that they normally do, and they gather up all of the homeless veterans. I mean, the guys that are sleeping on the street, under the bridge. You'd be surprised, 75% of the homeless people are veterans, which is a disgrace. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna come into the hospital, they're gonna get showers, they're gonna get haircuts, they're gonna get shots, flu shots, pneumonia shots. They're going to get examined by the doctors, things that they are not accessible to living on the street. They're also going to be talked to about joining in with the services. Most of these guys can get all their care, health care and everything, plus a check once they go and register with the VA. What we're looking for, and the number that you heard was 500. We're expecting 500 homeless veterans to be there.
This is the 15th year.
Yeah, this is the 15th year that McGuire VA Hospital is doing this. And we'd like you, if you can't be there yourself or whatever, contribute clothing. You can drop all your clothing and things off, as they say, slightly used clothing, shoes, anything that you're not using, these veterans can use. Now, they did it for you, let's do it for them. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel much better. I thought I heard something. I didn't like what I heard. I thought that I heard something.
Well, I hope I cleared it up for you.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you calling. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was good. And that was a very good question, too, that caller had. Glad we had a chance to straighten that out for
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Now, there's quite a few events happening for the month of November because it is Veterans Day in that month,
Veterans Month.
and we're celebrating for the whole month. So keep an eye out. November the 7th, there's going to be an event at McGuire. I think I'll be able to tell you because my last show is November the 6th. So I'll be able to give you some real detail on that and whatever else is coming up. Any more questions, just feel free to call. Like I said, even if you want to know where to go on a good vacation. I had somebody ask me that today. Where do you guys go when you go on vacation? Well, usually, I'll tell you, when we do a long shoot, like if we go to West Africa or South Africa, we come back, we sit down for maybe a day or two, and we go to the Bahamas.
Especially after West Africa.
Yeah, especially after West Africa. We go to the Bahamas, and not to Nassau. We go to Grand Bahama, or we go to, what's that?
Exuma.
Exuma.
But you know, Nassau's one of my favorites now. Don't knock that.
No,
It's a
I'm
little
not.
crowded
I'm not.
right now.
It's just turning into Manhattan, and you want that. You want to feel like you're going away, and you go away when you're on that beach in Freeport, Grand Bahama, and the water is. I mean, it's just
a beach.
unbelievable. That's one of the favorite places. The other favorite place would be St. Lucia, and that would be sandals. I'm promoting sandals.
Grenada.
Grenada is lovely. All the Caribbean is lovely, and the good thing about it is each island has a different flavor. So it depends on what you want. I will not recommend cruises to anybody. All of you who have been on cruises say that you've enjoyed yourself, but everybody I get off to the side and really talk to, they didn't enjoy it that much because it's like cattle call. When you're getting off to go on to the different islands, you have to stand in line for probably an hour or so. Then you get to go to a selected area. Then you get right back on the boat. Yeah, well, that's all you do on the boat.
That's what they want.
Well, you can do that on land too, but you get to meet nice people and you get to see good scenery and whatnot. That's just my hit on it. So, I mean, if you enjoy cruises, don't let me stop you from going. But I think you might want to get on a plane and get to a destination and see and experience something new and different.
Especially the music.
You won't get on a boat yourself, so.
Only if I'm getting paid to but then I get off before it takes off. I like a boat now. I go on a friend's yacht or something.
Oh yeah, that we do.
Island,
Yeah, that
you know,
we have a good time with
I
that.
have
In
no
fact, we
problem
did the
with that.
sunset cruise, champagne cruise around Cape Town, South Africa, on a sailing boat. Outstanding. Now I'm going to get back to the elections because I just remembered my friend and your friend in Richmond, Sheriff C.T. Woody, is up for re-election also. We're not hearing a whole lot about it. There's someone else running against him. I did hear his ad, but I haven't heard anything from C.T. about what he's doing. We all know basically what he's doing. He's making better citizens out of some of these young men who are lost. He's taking them inside of the Richmond City Jail and giving them an opportunity to grow. I worked out there as a volunteer and as a paid educator for over 5 years, and the results were phenomenal. And I'm still in touch with a whole lot of the guys because they formed another group once they came outside. You've heard me talk about Roots. If any of you watching tonight, give me a call. Let's brag about what you guys are doing. You're doing some really good things in the community. Let's brag about it. So Ricky Sparrow, Travis Mines, Linda, any of you that are tuning in, give a call. Let me brag about you a little bit.
Excuse me, Sheriff Woody seems to be getting, taking some knocks or some kicks for some things that are just normal, that happen in all jails. You know, people die.
That's right.
People, you know, the prison population is aging. People die.
And people were dying in there before he became sheriff.
Yeah, and
it's jail. I mean,
that's
you
no
know,
excuse.
they're not going.
No excuse,
there's
but
no
I'm not-
excuses for
I
it.
don't blame him.
No, that's exactly right.
I don't blame him because I've been around him a few times and I've seen him interact and they show him respect.
Oh, because he respects them.
Not out of fear.
Because he respects them. And when he comes out and he talks to the inmates, he talks to them as men. And he set up all of those programs that, again, if you've been watching over the years, you heard me talk about the Belief program or the education program, the good work that John Dooley has done out there. I had the opportunity to work with John for several months. I'm thinking he is. I haven't spoken to John in a while, but that's a good idea for me to give him a call because we have a ton of books. That's the other thing. If you have books and things that you want to donate, you donate them to the jail, the Richmond City Jail, and you give these inmates something to read, something positive that'll help them as they make their way towards positivity.
They have to be paperback books, I remember.
Right, paperback, no
And-
hardcovers.
and they love the novels, but they say, give us self-help books.
How-to
They
books.
really want.
How to
self-help.
think rich and grow, things like that. They love having those kind of books out there.
And just
So,
finding inner peace
and-
and even some skills.
yeah, all of that. Anything that you could read that you would think is helpful to you would be helpful to them
And
also.
the women, I understand, need packages of underwear, unopened underwear. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, they need
And socks. They
and
need
They
socks.
need that out there. Our community as a whole, myself being from New York, Long Island, and Brooklyn, and having grown up and experienced that, and then transforming myself into a Richmondite has been quite an experience. But the one thing that I genuinely love about Richmond is that the entire city acts as if it's one family. That's what I've experienced. Now, a lot of people, you look, again, I talk to everybody.
I do too.
Yeah, sure. Sometimes we talk too much. But I have found that there's a real community attitude
No, it's true.
in Richmond.
And we have to, let's see, what's the word? Put the fire under some people to get them started up again. Because when I was coming up in Richmond, everybody had somebody that they were helping. Everybody had some extra cousin in the house or somebody that was at school. You know, everybody had somebody that they were helping take care of.
Taken care of.
And they weren't bragging about it. It was just done.
Well, that's what you do. That's what families do. That's what the way we were raised. I remember, again, being up north, as my cousins in the South graduated from high school, they came and they lived with us until they got themselves jobs and got situated. So my cousins became like my sisters and brothers, and you've met them, okay?
Yeah.
And I have a ton, trust me, a ton of
How
cousins.
many first cousins again? 300?
347 first
Ooh,
cousins.
that's ridiculous.
Okay, well, my daddy had 17 brothers. Any of y'all watched Driving Miss Daisy, you were looking at my Uncle Willie. That was the story of Uncle Will. And there were 17 of those brothers, and all of them that I know of, I didn't know all of them, but the ones that I know, all of them were driving somebody back in those days. My dad drove Mrs. Brett, and I can remember as a little baby sitting on the counter ringing the bell at the Waldorf Astoria, and I told this story before, and remember the ladies coming and pinching my cheeks and say, "There's nothing cuter than a little black baby."
Oh, wow.
And you know, I was a baby. I remember hearing all of that and whatnot. Didn't know whether I should be offended or not because I didn't have that type of mindset then. But
They probably didn't mean it.
no, they didn't mean any harm. They were telling the truth because there aren't any babies cuter than ours. So there you go. Got to put a little bit of icing on that cake, right? But again, I keep saying it all the way through this hour. Make sure you get out and vote. Make sure you get out and vote. We have all of these problems now with all of these government folks who are obviously doing us wrong, and they were voted in. So let's vote them out. And we have the opportunity with this election for the Democrats to take over the House. Okay?
Even with the gerrymandering.
With everything. There's enough people in the Republican Party who have burned their bridges. They're not going to get reelected. It gives the Democratic Party and the Independent Party a chance to really move in.
If you vote,
You have to get
vote.
out and vote. That's the
You
magic
have to
key.
vote.
Stick the key in the lock, turn it, open up the world. Vote, vote, vote. Now, somebody called me and asked me a question. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to just sit here like this.
Well, I guess that's left up to me to talk.
Go ahead,
Listen,
Charlene.
one of the things I notice, and we need to always mentor those that have less, but a lot of times those that have more, they seem to be the ones shooting a lot of people or causing disturbances. And I think it's because their parents don't have time for them. They might be gone. Who knows? They're traveling the world. I mean, I don't know. But I think as a mother and as a grandmother, it's our business to see who needs help.
They appreciate it so much. You know, we teach, and you've heard and seen on the show, and you'll see before I leave this last 6-week cycle. We teach martial arts. Well, today I had the opportunity to speak to the director of physical education for the Richmond school system and talk to her about what we wanted to do as far as introducing the martial arts training and concepts into the Richmond and Henrico public schools, and she had no problem with that at all. So principals, if any principals are watching that, they expect a call from me and expect a meeting with me. We're going to come in, we're going to talk to you primarily in the middle schools about setting up sessions for your classes, 25 students in each class, and we're going to work it out because these youngsters need training. They need training in self-respect, self-esteem, ability. They need to know that they are able to conquer difficulties. We do bullies and we do kids that have been bullied. All of that goes away because of the training and the teaching that you get. Now, people say, look at me, and I'm going to say it on TV, don't get upset. I'm 70 years old. I've had 18 major operations, and the only thing that has kept me looking and feeling like I do is martial arts training. So it does something for the whole system, for the mindset, for everything, and the youngsters that come out of our program are all winners. They are all winners. So henricodojo.com, check it out on the web, then come on over if you want to check us out. The first lesson is free, and then we'll set up a program for you. We're also getting ready to open up the doors for teaching ladies self-defense because of all of the ugliness that's going on and all of the things that are going on. There's certain things that we can teach you that might just save your life. My wife has been learning some of them at home. I have to be careful of her. And my daughters, I should say, daughters and daughters-in-law, every young lady that I'm around, I teach them one or two things that they didn't think of, and most of you wouldn't think of, but they work. And it'll get somebody off of you long enough for you to get help, get away, whatever. And if it really gets serious, we can teach you how to handle that too. But by the same token, henricodojo.com, just take a look at it, all right? You see, we work with the Housing Authority and the Housing Authority children. We work with Friendship Schools. We work with quite a few organizations, and we do private teaching also.
You know what, Ed?
Yes.
I was cutting across your game.
It's all right.
When we were in school, two of the things to me that are important as far as youth are concerned, physical education
Exactly.
and music
And
art, which is similar. They've all been taken away from the schools. A lot of children have no PE programs. They have no art or minimal art programs. They don't have proper art supplies. And they took away the music in many schools. Little kids, they used to have the little whistles or whatever, the little...
And you had to learn how to play the drums,
Yeah,
trap drums.
and you had the little whatever.
But you know what I heard today, and it made so much sense. I was talking about what I was just talking about, having karate in the schools. And the question was asked, why don't they have volleyball or why don't they have any of these sports? So the schools still have football and they still have basketball. Those are for the select few that have the talent, the kids that have the talent. But the young man that I was talking to said the reason that they don't have it is because of litigation. They said there's so many people that sue the schools. Johnny broke his nose in football. Or little Willie fell down and sprained his ankle.
But you don't have to have football for little kids to play. They could play volleyball.
Exactly. I'm just using that as an example. People are suing the public schools for every little thing, and that's why the schools are afraid.
That's a bunch of it, whatever.
Well,
They the same paper that exonerates them, the school, from the child being hurt, can do the same for the child kicking the ball, the younger one. Because those guys playing football, they get hurt all the time.
I'm just telling you what I heard today. All right, that was one of the reasons, and you're hearing that all over. You're hearing it from the doctors, the regular physical doctors.
Oh, I wouldn't let anybody I love play football.
Well, I mean, you're hearing from the doctors how they're holding back because their medical insurance is going so high because of all of the litigation. We become a suing society. Everybody's trying to make a fast buck. So the doctors have cut back on certain patients.
But you'll find private schools have all the activities. I think it's a matter of money too. Private
Well,
schools
that's true
have
because
all the activities, all the physical sports.
Well, we have to look for our own
Because-
sponsors. Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants, I said this last week, if you want to sponsor a child, or it costs $100 a month for the child to have 2 lessons a week and unlimited access to the actual dojo.
It's not bad.
No, it's very inexpensive. That's the whole idea. We wanted to make it possible for everybody to come. So if you have a business or you have an organization, once again, contribute. You can reach us at henricodojo.com. You can reach me at edcoleman0811.com, not
How you spell
gmail.com.
dojo?
D-O-J-O.
Okay. That's for those of you like me that don't know.
Dojo, D-O-J-O. So it's henricodojo.com. And the 5th degree black belt who founded it since Clarence Folks has had over 33 years of training, law enforcement and everyday people and youngsters. I've had about 50 years in martial arts. I have not trained as he has. He is a master and was nominated the Karate Instructor of the Year by the Karate Association. So I'm just letting you know that it's available, and if I were you, I'd take advantage of it. And probably on the 6th, maybe on my last show, I'm gonna have a couple of the kids come in and show you some of the things that they've learned like I did last time.
Didn't you have some kids from Virginia Union?
I had the kids, 3 champions.
Yeah.
And-
They were surprised too. weren't
Yeah,
they?
they were surprised.
I
They
was.
had them for Adam, and they won. Two of them won state championship, and I think one of them won national, if I'm not mistaken. I know that we have national champions in.
And
in
they've
the
gone
dojo.
to Panama.
They go to Panama to train, and they go to Texas for training. The ones that want to go to a higher level, meaning white belt, blue belts, yellow belts, each step up. When you get to brown belt, then you're getting to the point where you're really serious. If you want to compete to get the next step up, you go to Texas.
Did you know I had a yellow belt?
Yes, I knew you had a yellow belt, and she has a good kick too. But it's something. It's a reward system, and the kids really love it. If you could see my little grandson, Kyle, at 5 years old, and watch the way that this little boy moves and rolls around, it's very impressive. And Jack and Jill is going to have a day there in November. I think it's November the 30th. Is that the day?
I'm not telling the date on the air. But
Why not?
anyway, because it's nobody's business.
Well, excuse me. I thought it was kind of fun to let them know.
No, they will have
Better
it.
be
And
watch out for those Jack and Jill kids.
and not only that, a lot of women now are signing up just to be
Quite a
able
few.
to protect yourself, because Christmas is coming and we're going to be in the malls, and we have to know, what to do. I think one thing is put your hands up if somebody's trying to.
Put your hands up to God.
And another thing is do something with your ears to get rid of them like that.
Reach up to your ears.
Reach
You
up to
learn.
your- yeah.
See, you learning though. But that one thing, put your hand up to God and turn, makes a whole lot of difference. Very simple moves, and moves that everybody
And that
can
is
do.
if somebody's behind you.
If somebody's
getting ready
grabbed you or touched you, like I'm touching you now.
If I do like that.
Okay, it's
yeah.
gone. It works, see? So that's some of the stuff. Anyhow, we're just chit-chatting away and waiting for this phone to ring. What, you guys don't like me today or what?
I'm sitting down.
Well, you do the calling. That's all right. But I mean, we do have other folks to call.
I know.
And
I'm just teasing.
for projects that are coming up, again, I tell you about the one for the school, for the schools. Also, tournament time coming November the 10th, big tournament. You have some things coming up with.
If anybody wants to win a free trip to one of the islands, let me know and we'll arrange it. Tropical Beach coming back.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, a lot of stuff. I tell you, when you look at me, you have to have a pen and a pad because you got to write down a lot of stuff.
You know
now,
what we can do too? I keep cutting across.
that's okay. You think you're home. It's okay. You're at home.
Mothers to Daughters Cookbook is
Yes,
a huge
huge
success.
success.
I can't believe it. I wrote that book, and I don't even have one with me, to raise money for Popcorn Magazine for Children. And my mother was beautiful, so my daddy had all kinds of professional pictures taken of her. So I used the pictures and put it with the recipes, put one of her stabbing a hog.
Oh, she's not
really.
stabbing the hog. She's carving a pig.
Carving a pig. Okay. It was and sometimes we at the bases, and they can't get enough of that cookbook. It's just amazing.
They'll stand there, they'll look at the veterans book, and then they'll put it down and say, what is that? That's a cookbook over there? And you see so many of these guys buying the cookbooks. Along with the veterans book, which is a surprise. So there you go. You never know. And the cookbook is in what, 5 years now? 4 years.
Fifth printing, maybe sixth printing. It's phenomenal. Because the first year I had it, I think we printed 6,000, and 5,000 stayed in the garage the first year.
Yeah.
And then my dear girlfriend, crazy girlfriend, Tony, says, well, you're going over to the base all the time. Why don't you go over there and sell some? And I said, well, let's see. And it took me another year to get it in the base, to get approved to sell over there.
Yeah.
And once I did, man, they sold out. I couldn't believe it.
So, yeah, this is the fifth printing of it. So there you go.
And I've added new things.
So, again, Christmas is coming, Thanksgiving is coming. You want to learn how to make a turkey with oyster stuffing? Grab the book.
or lamb.
That lamb is delicious.
Seafood
casserole.
Gumbo.
We're making everybody hungry. We're never going to get a phone call now. They all go into the refrigerator. See? Well, listen, folks. I opened up the door for any kind of conversation. I had one good phone call. I don't know whether to be mad at you guys or what. What, are you afraid to talk to me?
Well, sometimes you can't get through.
Why, the line's busy?
No, it just doesn't ring.
Well, once again, you see the numbers up there. 915-5202. I know you want to know something. Give me a call. Okay?
Well, I'll ask a question. I'll pretend I'm home. What are some of the other topics you plan on having?
Well, like I said, I was going to have them on tonight, but there was an emergency, and I don't want to get too much into that, but there's an association called the Black Officers Association.
Okay.
And it's police officers, high-level police officers who have formed a group to do things for children.
Okay. Oh.
All right, so they're going to come on next week. The president and the national president, regional president and the national president are going to come on. They're going to tell the public about what they do. They're also going to be participants in the book giveaway. I think that's going to be worked out well. And they also want to do something for the children with Popcorn Magazine. So that's going to be a good meeting and an historical meeting, because one of the gentlemen that's coming on is the chief of the police for the Veterans Hospital, but he was the chief of police for the Florida Highway Patrol after being on that job 25 years, and he's black.
And handsome.
And who would have thought that Florida's chief of police would be an African American? Hello, caller. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Mr. Ed and Mrs. Charlene. This is Max Kilco. Can you talk more about tropical beat and how world music can impact kids?
Wow, you sure? That's a great question, and we will definitely do that, okay?
All right, let's do it.
All right, we'll talk about it, and if we don't answer enough of your question, you call back, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Tropical beat and how the music, well, one thing that it does, and we were told this by the king of the Zulu nation, and I mentioned it last week, tropical beat turned into an educational program where we go to different countries and we interview and sit down with different celebrities from those countries, different people from the different countries, but in every show we do something about the children of that particular country.
And what Tropical Beat does also, we introduce different types of music. And we always bring something positive. You can look at the news and find a lot of negative things. Sometimes you see kids starving, which people need to know about. But there are always so many happy kids there. I gain weight when I go to Africa because I eat so many things. And the music and the joy. And you learn that Ghana's in West Africa and they wear different types of cloth. You learn some of their culture. So I think that's what Tropical Beat does for the children. That's one of the things.
For the youngsters, and it shows them that music is universal. Mm-hmm. That if you play, we were on a bus, driving for probably 4 or 5 hours into the bush, in a country called Benin, West Africa. And when we got off of the bus at the village we were going to, no electricity, no running water, a real African third world village. As we got off of the bus, I heard One Love being played on a boombox by Bob Marley. One Love. I said, listen, One Love. We started dancing to the song. The whole village got up and started dancing to the song. Okay? So that's what happens, and that's what translates. And the children that get a chance to see that get a chance to be educated. There's more to the world than this particular little shell that we live in. I hope that answered your question, young person, and I like the way you asked it. You spoke very well.
Spoke very well.
Very well.
And hopefully they encourage you to travel to Africa, to the West Indies, and let you know that we all come from different cultures, but we are more alike than we are different.
That's right. That's right. I hope that answered it for you. If it didn't, like I said, call back, okay? Good deal. That was a good question.
Right.
Yeah.
Well spoken, young
And it
person.
tells me, just that little conversation, that we need to, we have over 1,000 hours of tape from different ceremonies and things that have never even been edited.
Different countries.
We did the whole Shaka Zulu celebration. Those of you who know about Shaka Zulu, we were invited to do the whole celebration. They do a celebration in the town for all of the politicians and all of the elected people to come out and see and be seen, that kind of thing. But then the Zulus go up into the valley of 1,000 hills, absolutely beautiful country, and they do their own ceremony. And it's over 40,000 Zulus out there, and it was us. Yeah, and the ground shakes and
Yeah,
they
it was
step,
shaking. It was like
and they say, Bayate, woof, Bayate, I'm a Zulu. And we got our Zulu names, Timbega and Sipo. And South Africa, you have to earn your names from the Zulus. They don't just give you a name and you can't buy them. You have to earn your name. And Timbega means trustworthy. They gave her that name because, as the king said, you have done everything that you promised us you would do over the years. So it's time for your name. And your name is Timbega, which means trustworthy. And then we left the king.
Oh,
I love it. We left the king and we went to what they call a sangoma. A sangoma is like I don't want to say a witch doctor because that's not what they are. She's a healing person. You can't go to the doctor every 5 minutes when you live in these other countries, although South Africa has one of the best medical systems in the world. But you go to healers, health healers. That's one of the reasons why we use so many natural ingredients for health. Like in Charlene's book, she's got guaranteed to make you feel better. Chicken noodle soup
with garlic and lime.
Which does work. It knocks out a cold or any kind of virus in your system. Well, when we walked into the Sangoma's hut, beautiful structure, round and huge, and you walk in and the fumes from the herbs and things that they're burning and whatnot. Charlene has asthma. She walked in the door and her asthma cleared up.
Immediately.
It was phenomenal just to see that. So as we were going in, she introduced herself. She said, I'm Timbega. She said, yes. And she touched me and she said, and he is Sipo.
Right on time.
Right on. She didn't want me to tell the rest. Hello, caller.
Yes, how you doing, Ed?
I'm good. How are you? That's Mr. Mario, right?
Yes.
Good to hear from you, Mario. Mario's the president of Transforming Today's Youth that you heard me talking about a few minutes ago. One of the hardest working young men that I know, and very dedicated to his project. Now, Mr. Mario, do you have a question for me?
I had a question for both of y'all.
All right.
I want them books.
You want the books? That's good to
I
hear.
want them books.
That's good.
I'll bring you some tomorrow morning.
That's a great book to promote. And I'm quite sure I have a lot of people interested in purchasing one of them books because they give you a lot of insight on, in the military, and a lot of veterans that I know, I mentioned that book to them, they definitely interested in it. So I want to know, when can I get me a bundle of the books?
How about if I bring them by tonight? Would you be up around 7:30?
I'll be waiting for you.
You got it, and that's a good thought, Mario. I appreciate it.
I do too.
And we'll give it to you the same way that we're giving it to the military with the discounts that we discussed, so that it'll make it easy for you to get the word out on it, all right?
And
Okay, no problem. I appreciate that.
And when you do that, we'll also let the military know that transforming today's youth has helped.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Always.
Okay, brother.
Thank you, Charlene. Looking good as ever.
thank you.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's
You're
nice.
flirting with my wife. It's okay. Take
That's okay. The
care.
women flirt with you.
That's right. I'll see you in a bit then, brother. Thank you.
All right, yeah, no problem.
Uh-huh. Now, that was a good call. Any of you other folks out there who want to help out, you can donate $100. We will give books away in your name at the VA for these veterans.
And it's tax deductible.
And it is a tax deduction, yeah. And once again, you can contact me at edcoleman0811@gmail.com. And Charlene?
You know, my hyphen. I keep forgetting that. My-vet.net. We have a website, my-vet.net.
In other words,
There's
dash, my-vet.net.
Or you can contact me at cwec1590@gmail.com.
Okay, so now you know how to get us. And if you need a phone call, you can get me at 804-714-7983. Always, phone's on my hip. In fact, I have two phones now. So you get me on both lines. I have two phones. I don't even know the other number.
You have four.
So
talking out all sides of his mouth,
I'm reachable. I am reachable. If you want to get me,
you can contact me on it. Email.
Yeah, and we do come out as a team and speak at churches or organizations. We talk about, I'm still the director for the Victims' Rights Foundation for Richmond. So we talk about things, about things that most people don't want to talk about, but they need to hear about. And we talk about sexual abuse, just the whole litany, anything that needs to be said, and very successful. I've already gotten calls for Black History Month. People have already started calling me to speak.
Well, I volunteered you for a bunch of stuff next month. Because I tell them we're a team, so they're asking me to speak at a lot of different bases. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, well, my husband will come too.
And the prisons.
Jails.
They wanted us to come down to, where is it?
The one in Lawrenceville.
Lawrenceville Correction Facility. To come down and talk to the vets, because there are a lot of veterans that are incarcerated. And we need to address that also.
And some of this has to do with this PSTD.
Oh, well, most of it does.
And I just found out that it also relates to just normal people who have never been in the service.
PTSD, post-traumatic stress, is not something specific to the military. Anybody that goes through a traumatic event suffers from that, because all it is remembering. It stays in your head. It'll keep you awake. It'll make you nervous. It'll make your thought patterns change. Then you start drinking, smoking, doping, whatever it is.
You can't sleep.
To get out of it. Right.
And it's just being recognized.
If this book had been written 40 years ago, a whole lot of us would have had a whole different life. And I'm very proud of you.
Somebody asked me if I was a counselor after they read. I said, no, I'm not a counselor.
No, you did.
People,
but you did a great job.
A whole lot of research. And what I did in the book, as you know, I quote other veterans. So I tell their story. I say, this is what Russell said. Russell went through it. I had no idea. I mean, once I was able to let them feel comfortable with me, then they unloaded a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
A whole lot of stuff that went on. And you have no idea. I didn't put it all here because I didn't want it. I didn't want it to frighten you from reading it.
Yeah, well, we know. I mean, we've actually, because we are on most of the bases. Charlene is part of the vendors system for the APHIS, which means she's an author and she signs books on the different bases. And we had an incident at Andrews, I believe, Andrews Air Force Base. Went to get something to eat. A young man there in uniform saw me, saw my hat, came over and he said, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Sure." We sat down outside on the deck by the water. and we started talking. And this poor kid, I turned into a counselor. I am a
He was
counselor.
getting ready to shoot himself.
He was basically suicidal. And we sat there, both of us sat there with him for almost 2 hours. In fact, his picture's in the book.
You shouldn't say that.
Yes, it should say that. Yeah, because he's in the book. He's part of the story. But his story, the fact that he had somebody to talk to, I think, I mean, the guy looked like a weight had been lifted
In fact,
off of
I
him.
give you credit for that because before he came to you, I said, hey, let's go. You said, no, I have to talk to this guy. You saw him 1st. He was just sitting there with a drink in his hand, and a young guy. And you said, no, we can't go yet. I have to talk to him. And then as soon as Ed went there, the guy caught his attention and he asked him to talk.
say that.
And then he wouldn't, he just, I mean, it just started. It was just like,
Timing, that's it.
Yeah.
We needed to be there when we were
Yeah, we
there.
were there at the right
and
time.
we walked
Such a
away
nice kid,
with
too.
satisfaction, and he was very satisfied. He said, I don't know how to thank you. And his wife was inside, and I went inside and I spoke to her to let her know what had just happened. I said, and
and this
think,
was a white kid. I mean, that just shows you
all
it's
right,
not just,
come
this
to the
isn't just a
military.
black- Yeah.
We're all green, all blue if you happen to be one of those Air Force guys that hang around, with that blue crap on.
Oh, stop it. Oh, white with the sailors. Oh, stop it.
No, but we go. The Navy is cool with me. The Navy is definitely cool because they have the SEALs, SEAL Team
Oh, yeah.
6, and all of that kind of
The
stuff.
Marines are tough.
The Marines are tough. They have their long.
And I like the
range.
uniforms that the Air Force wears.
They
And one
look
of the-
like bus
No,
drivers.
they don't. And one of the ladies I spoke with, oh my gosh, she had a horror story. And she was right there in the Air Force, somebody way up top. And she couldn't she couldn't use any names. And she wasn't going to report anybody because she's about to retire in a couple of years. But
And that's a hard process in itself in the military because, well, again, that's
we
a,
don't want to
that's a whole
discourage
show.
young guys from going, or women. Because
I would encourage them.
I would too, because you can get an excellent education. You just have to go there prepared, knowing what to do and what not to do, and who to report to and who not to report to. Because the way everything's so expensive now, you might as well join up and get a trade.
And get trained.
Get college educated.
Get college educated or go into IT in the military and come out in 4 or 6 years and go into a 6-figure job.
So I saw a sign. We have about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, in that last 2 minutes, I want to thank you for watching. I hope we haven't just sat up here and just talked and wasted your time. I do want you to remember some of the things that we said, if not all, the main thing being voting. Make sure that you get out on the 5th and vote. I know when I do this, when we're here, it comes through on the table, it comes through on the sound, but I'm making a point. We have to get out and vote. And don't forget our book.
And keep smiling and keep jamming.
Oh, you
Next
go.
week,
Here you go with your
tune
tropical.
Tune in for Conversations with Ed.
Yeah.
See ya.
And remember that website, okay? www.tropicalbeat.tv. Okay? And for the youngsters, popcornmagazine.net. And to purchase the book, my-vet.net. See you next week, same time, same station. And get all your friends together. It's going to be a great show. Okay? Talk to you. Thanks for watching. Thank you, baby. That was nice. You had a nice time.